Hi there, this is Chris from MoneyHub, and this video looks at frequently asked questions with regards to website development. So we've asked a whole bunch of people what they think, what they want to know, and just from our general industry knowledge, we've put together a comprehensive list. But of course, if you do have any questions beyond this video, please leave them down in the comment section because we are highly responsive to those and we want our information to be as comprehensive as possible. So if there is something that we can add, then we will certainly do so. So without further ado, let me just get straight into it now. How do I find a web designer? So basically, there's many options here, but a good starting point is just to do a random Google search, and it would just be using your city name plus the word web design, see what comes up, and make sure you go through the reviews because that's really important. If someone's only got 1 or 2 reviews, 3 reviews, then not sure how long they've been in business or not really sure what they're doing. But if someone's got like 20, 30, 40, or 50, and when I say someone, I'm talking about agencies, then that's probably going to be a strong sign that they're serious and that they've got a reliable track record. So just do your own investigation there. Because there's no sort of regulation around web design or anything like that, it is pretty much it's not the Wild West, but we want you to be able to choose carefully and not rush anything. So just do the research there and do it all online. At the same time, if you like the look of a website that you've seen around, then look at the footer and see who's designed it, and then you can contact them as well. Because often that's a lot of times, well, actually not a lot of times, but that is a one source of referrals for web designers, just from clients who like the look of other people's websites. And then finally, we've put together very helpful lists, which I suggest having a read through. And you can see that we comprehensively look at like a variety of cities, and you can see that link to, but you can see those linked below. And basically, we have shortlisted people that we think are brilliant, but that's based on our comprehensive research. And of course, we keep these guides up to date all the time. But at the same time, do your own research, and you can also use our list as well for reference. But ultimately, if you have any questions, then do ask the web designer, because of course we can't provide any sort of further information about a specific web designer. But we know that there will be lots of questions, so make sure they're directed to the right people. So the second frequently asked question is much more straightforward. How do I choose the right web designer for my business? The answer is it's got to be someone who meets and is going to accept your budget, and it's going to agree to the scope, and it's going to deliver the preferences that you want. So many times people can get cheap websites or pay too much, which is also it's kind of as bad as well, because people overpay and then they're disappointed, and then a whole bunch of problems from that. So what my point here is really put together the list of things that you want within your website. Make sure that the people that you choose can actually deliver that they agree to that. And certainly the budget and the scope and any specific requirements are the cornerstone of that. And look for designers who have created websites similar to industries that you're in, or the same industries, because that often helps. They'll understand the kind of business that you are. It just makes things a lot easier. If you do have something quite niche, then you will just have to ask around just to make sure that you've got the right people to help you. What should I expect from a web designer? Well, they are going to take all your information, all your logo designs, everything like that, all your color preferences, and they're going to put together a website. At the same time, they're also going to provide you with a timeline, and they're going to keep you informed of that progress. Now, that can mean that you'll also have to keep things moving along. If they ask you stuff, you will need to respond to it. But, they should be able to keep the project running without you until you're needed. And you just need to know that, they can deliver that. So that's why we say picking the best web designer for it really comes down to online research plus experience within your industry, plus making sure they'll, follow the budget or actually keep within the scope of what you've asked for and what you've agreed. Now, how do I communicate my vision for my website to a web designer? So this is where you have to be as specific as possible and just provide examples. It's actually much easier to do that than create a whole bunch of typing and a whole bunch of big emails. Just take a website, say what you like about it, take another website, say what you don't like about it, and just browse. And and at the same time, be open to the designer's ideas and suggestions, because this way you can get the right answers and the right design, and sort of work together on it, and provide a map of what you want within your website. So make sure it covers everything which you need. Often that's going to be the home page. It's going to be the services page, the about us page, the testimonials page, portfolio page, or something like that, and then a contact page as well. And make sure that the contact details are highly visible throughout the page, throughout the website, because of course people don't just want to see those on one page. They'd like to see them on every page, but somewhere it's not plastered, but at the same time quite useful and quite easily accessible. So moving on here, how long does it take to design a website? The answer is it's going to depend on what the project is and basically the designer's workload, but generally it should be a few weeks. It could be as short as 3 weeks. Some people do 10 to 15 business days. If people promise websites in 2 to 3 days, that's a big red flag, so you want to avoid that. But generally about a month should be reasonable by the time you reply to things and they process things as changes and things like that. So that's usually the answer. It's going to depend, of course, as I said, by the project sort of length and by the project scope. And then what happens if you're not happy with the web design? So this does happen, and this is really important. And what the first thing to do is to discuss what you don't like with the web designer. It's not to complain online. It's not to complain to the overall company. It's to talk to the developer who's presented the website to you, because remember, websites are subjective. It is design. It is website design, and the design part is subjective, but of course it's all possible to change. So don't think that it's going to be a final version just because you get sent that as a draft, and you do need to be constructive. Now, if you do find that they're just not able to address your concerns, then you might want to look for a different designer. But you need to look at their refund policy, and you need to make sure that you can actually escape or move on. Sometimes web designers just don't get it. That's fine. They're not magicians all the time. But just be aware that you may have to pay for what you've already designed, and it's going to come down to the individual terms and conditions of the contract or any kind of arrangement that you've already entered into with the first web developer. Now, how do I make changes to my website after it's been designed? So this is a very common question, and the answer is you'll need to know how to edit it. So you should get self-management instructions when the files are all handed over to you or when the website goes live. Some designers may offer ongoing support or maintenance, and that's fine, but you'll have to pay usually like an hourly charge for that, or a per design fee. So be aware that that can get quite expensive. But at the same time, if you just want to do minor things or just create sort of things like new pages, but quite straightforward, then self-management should be sufficient for that. Now, how do I maintain my website after it's live? That's pretty much falling into the editing access as well. You need to make sure that your links work, that the features all work properly, and at the same time, you'll have to renew your domain, which is, say, for example, www.yourbusiness.com.au or whatever it is, and also pay your hosting fees. That both of those will keep the website live. And some web designers will offer these ongoing support packages. You may want to, buy some hours in advance if that's cheaper. But if you can edit it yourself, that's always going to be cost effective, and it does make, it does put the power with you, and it gives you instant sort of changeability, which is very important for minor things. So as soon as your website is live, do make sure that you have access to everything that you need. Make sure that you've got the passwords and that you're ready to go to make the edits that will be needed later on, because of course things do change in your business, and it's really important to have the ability to make those changes online. Right, so that's the summary there of the frequently asked questions. If you do have any more, then please let us know, because we're very willing to put the research in there to get this information out. We want the process right now to be straightforward for people looking to get web design. It hasn't really been that explained clearly throughout Australia until now. We're trying to put out information and resources to make it more transparent. So of course it really helps us if we know further areas that we can look at. Thanks very much, and I look forward to any comments below.